Here to speak on the inner workings of SANDAG and the resignation of Ikhrata is Vista Mayor John Franklin. John, good to see you again.
Jason, thanks for having me.
Okay, explain your position on the SANDAG board.
So I'm a second alternate member. I was our primary voting member before our council voted to demote me, and that's actually an important part of the conversation about SANDAG. It's become partisan. It's become ideological. It's no longer focused on meeting the needs of 97.5% of motorists. It's primarily a transportation committee focused on spending our region's transportation dollars, but it does wear a total of 27 separate government hats. That's the number of different authorities that are constituted under SANDAG. And the mission and dollars going into the agency are ever growing and expanding.
Wow. Okay, were you surprised by this resignation?
I saw this coming. I think Hasan was always here to be here for a short period of time and to be a highly impactful agent of change, and I think that's what he was, whether or not we liked the direction that he took the agency, and I certainly didn't. But one of the things I wanted to tell viewers this morning is I think that Hasan took the agency in the direction that the board wanted to go. And so I think it's really important, one, for viewers to key in on what SANDAG is and what it controls, but more important to focus on the board leaders who will make the decisions about the future executive director, because I think we might just be jumping out of the frying pan and right into the fire here.
Really?
We might be wishing that we had Hasan back here in about a year. I mean, it's possible. Yeah. And that's not because we love his policies, but remember, we had a more bipartisan and common sense group that was involved in the hiring of Hasan, and now we have a group that's completely polarized, partisan, and is not interested in the perspective of suburban voters who rely on our highway system to get to work every day. And again, that 97.5% number, that's the number of commuting motorists who rely on our highways, because right now, just over 2% are using our mass transit infrastructure. And so the big debate is, with the $1.2 billion that SANDAG spends every year, how much of that money is going to be focused on renewing and maintaining and expanding our roadway infrastructure versus how much is going to be spent to maintain the mass transit infrastructure and to expand that infrastructure, which serves a very, very small minority of motorists.
That's the fact, but I think where we're stuck is the ideological philosophies that they have.
That's right.
And you hear renewable energy and climate change. Everybody is for protecting the environment, but this goes way too far, and it doesn't serve the people that it's supposed to serve.
Well, and I'll tell you what, it's not just about climate change. I mean, I think we all agree. I've called myself a conservationist since I was a very young man and a Boy Scout, and I see electric vehicle technology coming. I see autonomous vehicle technology coming. We're going to solve not only some of our greenhouse gas and carbon emission problems, but we're going to solve what's more important in my mind is the economic burden for working families of getting where they're going point to point. We're going to be able to provide better options in the near-term future to families that need those choices. But to me, what's really important, you and I were talking about the crime situation in Canada and New York City, and I always remind people that Vista and Manhattan Island are the same size. They're both about 18.5 square miles. Manhattan's closer to 20, but Manhattan fits inside of Carlsbad twice. When we start to think about the scale of East Coast cities like Boston, Washington, D.C., New York, or even take San Francisco, and when we start to overlay those over top of a map of San Diego County, the difference in geography is staggering, and it's just not going to be possible to build a system that conveys millions of people, more than are already using the system, without multi-trillion-dollar investments, and there's no way that we're going to be able to find those kind of dollars. The geography is too disparate, so we need to find cleaner automotive technologies like green and autonomous to help us, not only serve the needs of working families, but also meet our GHG reduction goals.
And things are heading in that direction. And it seems like, Jim Desmond makes a good point. We shouldn't be looking back. Rail is the past.
Yeah.
We need to look forward, because
that's right.
technology is advancing so fast.
Yeah, and we seem to have some opponents of modern technology that don't want to accept or see the fact that technology is coming, that it's going to be a game changer. And I think the reason for that is because there are vested interests that profit from and benefit from the current system. And you've got to be willing to sacrifice the way things are for the betterment of voters and for our economy, and never be beholden to special interests. And I think that's a real problem.
Definitely. The mileage tax.
Yeah.
Was Hasan Ikhrata behind that, or was he just echoing what the board wanted?
He was a very strong driver of it, and he was the foil who, we now have the board members of SANDAG have said 3 times, oh, no, we voted to eliminate the VMT. What they did was they voted to instruct staff to find alternatives and to remove it. It's still there. And so Hasan is the one who was sort of hiding all of that in plain sight. It wasn't a conspiracy. Anybody who read the documents could see the language remain there. Anybody could have seen that Hasan could have laid before the board a measure that would simply have amended the regional plan and eliminated the VMT. Instead, he laid before them an instruction to staff, always giving staff more time to think about how to eliminate it. Now, we're working on right now the 2025 regional plan. When the goal has always been to implement the VMT in 2030. So we need to pay close attention not only to the 2025 plan, but also to the future plans that will follow that, because this is an ongoing planning operation that SANDAG is in charge of, and every few years we're releasing a plan that's looking forward at least a decade.
Okay. Mr. Mayor John Franklin.
Thanks, Jason.
Good seeing you, John.
Appreciate it.